Hello everyone, it's Open House Thursday on Your View. Welcome to the show. I am Mariah Afolabi Brown. As always, I have the ladies. Hiya, Mariam in the building.
Yo.
How you doing?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good to see you.
Thank you. I need to rant. So, the Echo Bridge, yes, has been closed for at least the side when you're coming from the Alaka axis towards the island has been closed for many months now. And because of that, all traffic movement goes down towards Costain, and it has caused a huge problem in that area. There's a huge congestion. As of this morning, it was a total jam. If you're coming from the Ikeja areas access towards Alaka, Surulere, everywhere was just a jam, traffic jam completely.
Could
and
it have
gone
bad
all the
roads?
way. No, this is because the Echo Bridge has been closed for months.
right,
You know, they've been
so-
working on it, but we need to even know what the deal is, because
Yeah.
we're hearing things about the Third Mainland Bridge going to be closed on the 26th of
months.
July for 6 months.
Yes.
It is what is the plan?
We need to get somebody.
Yeah, so as of today, people were just in traffic and was just building up to Jibowu area, and I'm sure, you know, down Ikorodu Road, it was really
it's
bad.
crazy.
We need to understand why that part of the bridge hasn't been opened yet, because for a lot of us, we have to now go all around to be able to.
It's important that you mention that, because now
Yes.
that the Third Mainland Bridge is likely to be closed, it's going to be double drama, double whammy, because you can't use the Ikorodu Road, you can't use Third Mainland
What
Bridge.
are the
Where-
alternatives?
Yeah,
How do you go
so
to work?
obviously
And the
we need to
parts
speak
of
to a
the bridge
government
that
official.
open are also falling apart. I know that, you know, they had said something about doing investigating and making sure that the bridges can take static weight. Please, I think they should redo that investigation again, because parts of the bridges are falling down. We have so many of those trucks now, just static.
Right.
Stationary.
And it's rainy
That
season. It's even harder to build the roads now, because we see in the papers, places like Agege, even your area.
Our area.
It's really, really bad. It's honest. Even here, even within the metropolis too, it's really bad. How are you doing, BC?
I'm doing amazing.
What's with the Lali and...
You know, I always do
I know you do
this.
it, but like, is it like a season you do it, or you just wake up and say, you know, I feel like
She
doing
just
it?
remembered who.
I've been missing it actually, but I couldn't do it because I was planning some educational things. You know, as an educationist, you're not supposed to be looking at all. You know the way we are in Nigeria.
Yeah.
You just look at you and assume that you're not a good human being because you have this on. So, but right now I'm in the art space, so I can have this on.
I've
And
never
I know
done it in
that-
my life.
Yeah, but first of all, I want to commiserate with Lady Dr. Adeze Udensi for the loss of her beloved mother. I pray that her soul finds eternal rest, and the family, you know, God gives the family the fortitude to bear the loss.
Right.
We're sorry you lost your mom.
Man,
Just
sorry about that.
be
I-
okay.
I see.
Yeah.
I didn't know who's
Relative?
she?
Okay, she is a boss
Okay,
to my husband.
okay,
Yes,
okay.
yes.
Bele?
And she's in the village right now. I just pray that
Is
God
it
gives them grace.
old person or young?
Her mom.
Her mom?
You know,
Elderly,
it doesn't really
you know,
matter
but we
how
don't-
old.
yeah,
Doesn't
we
really
don't-
matter.
Yeah, death is
Yeah,
something
but in this
that
part of the
we
world, we always ask for the age, because you know if
want to
it's time
celebrate.
for
Tell you
Have
what.
once
one
we are
day.
like it's 85.
I will.
In fact, from 85 to like 100,
It was when I
we're
came
locking
to
down Lagos.
celebration.
It was in Lagos that I realized how insensitive people can be.
insensitive.
Let me
We're
tell you,
celebrating life.
Let me give you my story. My grandma that has suffered in this world for me, and my siblings and my parents, she passed on, and my boss says, "Oh, it was your grandmother said, we should throw a party."
Oh,
the
God.
way I finished him, I forgot who he was. I'm
For
like,
real?
really?
You were
I said,
hurting.
because she's my grandmother, does that make her a piece of furniture that is 5 years or 10
We're
years old?
celebrating the life she lived.
Yes, but I just lost my grandmother. Who had been a part of me for my whole life. And all of a sudden, you just
We are
flippantly say,
celebrating that she lived a good life and she had you and that you're successful.
there's a time,
and she lived long.
it's only in Lagos that you hear when someone loses their mom, they say, "Oh, you have chopped your mama." I'm like, how do you say? How do you open your mouth and say things like
Now
that?
it's different. Now it's different.
Why is it different?
No,
It's
no,
here.
I don't
It's
agree
only
with
this
that
part.
one. I mean, I never really heard about that
But when
one.
people are mourning, we should be sensitive.
Yes.
you know?
Yeah, we should be sensitive. But when you ask for the
Keep it
age,
on the
how old
low.
was she? She says 85. Auntie, can't calm down.
You
Dust
see?
it up.
Why?
Dust it up.
Why?
This is party time, man. Just
God.
thank God for her life,
Mariah.
you know, and praise God that she lived a good life. But if below 85, you can still say, Mashu, but it is well. What are you talking about?
I don't have anything to say to you.
But it doesn't mean but let me correct that. It doesn't mean that we're insensitive. It just means that we're celebrating that
We understand,
lived.
but it comes across as insensitive.
Especially
So,
to the people that are mourning.
Thanks for the feedback. Maybe they'll reconsider it in this part of town. Let's go on a break. I'm doing very well. I'm doing well. Just exam. I mean, listen, I'm talking about this exams very well. I mean, I have
You've
two.
not finished
Not
these
finished.
exams. Finish it now.
You know, I thought it was fact. I have two papers. One is both are 4,500 words each. Like, it's going to take you forever to finish these papers, and it's just crazy. But you know what? Let me go buy markets.
You'll finish it. Don't
Let me
worry.
go buy markets. So I'll just close my eyes and do it.
You
Let's
will.
go on a break. We'll be right back. Okay, let's start with the punch. WASC People's Resumption. Trying to get used to this WASC. Southwest State, Ebonyi Cross River on collision course with federal government. Picture here of failed sections of the Olorunibe area along the Agege Motor Road, Mushin, Lagos. Copper, one other rescued as Ogun police kidnappers clash. I didn't sexually harass ex-NDDC managing director, says Akpabio. UK frustrated air peace attempt to evacuate Nigerians, says Onyema. Senate holds closed session National Assembly to meet Buhari on the 704,000 jobs. And I spoke with Tolulope at 1 p.m. But at 5 p.m., I was told she was in a mortuary. That's her father, the father of the late female combat helicopter pilot who died yesterday, on Tuesday, actually. Okay, which stories are we taking?
The human interest story?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, yes. So a 7-member of the National Youth Service Corps, Agnes Okoroji, and one other person, I think Tawa, were rescued from the den of kidnappers on Wednesday. This happened in Ogun State. And I think by the time they were kidnapped from different locations, and they were taken together. The kidnappers were in a vehicle that was moving. So some police who were around the area noticed that the people in the vehicle were looking suspicious, so they stopped the vehicle. But then the driver did not stop, and there was a shootout that ensued. They were shooting back at the police was shooting. So the police ended up killing one of the kidnappers because they fled the car, killing one of the kidnappers, injuring one. That one escaped, and then they rescued the 2 persons that were kidnapped. So it's a good thing that they were rescued. They're still looking out for the other person who escaped.
Yeah, so Air Peace, the CEO, Alan Oyema, was talking about the denial of the landing permit by the UK government to us, you know, when they had gone to evacuate stranded Nigerians. A lot of people thought it was the fault of the Nigerian government, so he was trying to clear the air. He says, in fact, the Minister for Aviation and External Affairs were really, you know, supportive of, you know, the move to evacuate Nigerians, but the British government was frustrating them that they asked for what they call the TCO. That's the third country operator, which they had earlier said was not needed because of the, you know, circumstances. And they had done a first flight before, and now they had gone for the second leg, and they were asking for all these papers. And he says, in his own opinion, he feels that it was because of the low cost of, you know, the flights, that he had about 40 people on board who couldn't pay for it and were evacuated for free. And so maybe that made it uncomfortable for the British government that they could do that.
We have to move on now to the nation. Southwest states to reopen schools August for the WAEC examinations. My girl, wonderful brilliance, grieving dad laments. Ship owners seek government intervention in secure Anchorage area dispute. Buhari's anti-graft war must go on, says Freed Magu. Appeal court okay sack of council chairman. Okay, let's take the major headlines. Southwest states are saying they're going to reopen for the exams.
So there was a meeting that was held, an online meeting that was held yesterday, organized by the Development Agenda for Western Nigeria. That's done. They are saying that the 6 Southwest states, Lagos, Ogun, Oyo, Ondo, Osun, and Ekiti, will go ahead to reopen for the WASC examinations. So one of the things they said is that they will start negotiating with WAEC that's WASC, to see how they can, extend the examination so that by the time they resume, they have like 3 weeks to prepare. So they're looking to start the examinations on the 24th of August. They're also going to be negotiating with the federal government to see how they can relax. There was this order that schools should not reopen for the examinations. And they are promising that before those schools reopen, they will have to meet the criteria for prevention.
And a few other states, even the South, and even the Southeast are also considering this, so they might be reopening just for the examinations. Because, listen, at the end of the day, it now boils down to the states negotiating individually to the federal government, saying, we have the capacity to do these exams. So let's not shortchange our pupils. Okay, let's talk Magu. Magu was
so we know that Magu had been in, well, they say sort of detention for nearly 9 days. Questions asked of him back and forth. He got, he was released yesterday, I think, and the story for release, they said his lawyer had written a request for bail to the IGP, and the IGP says, well, I didn't authorize the detention, get it through the panel, and the panel, of course, lets him go. They asked him questions about how he feels. He says, this is Magu saying that for him, this is a war he'll keep on fighting. It doesn't matter if he's still EFCC chairman, and that he's encouraging all Nigerians to keep this war on. He says, concerning the allegations against him, they're just mere nonsense, trumped-up allegations. When he read them, he was shocked, but he
interestingly, he also said that the allegations on the media pages are totally different from what the panel were faced with. Exactly. So what the media was covering and saying, 500 billion is missing, 700 million, that in fact, what was in front of the panel was totally different. So it was like there was a media trial to discredit him and to tarnish his image.
Even in the Vanguard, the report was that he hadn't even seen the allegations in the first place, that they take him there for where he's supposed to be meeting, and they keep him from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. without calling him in. They call in the witnesses without him there. So they haven't, for a few days now, they hadn't spoken to him, they hadn't quizzed him.
We have to move on, but in a related story also, the other 4 of his colleagues have also been suspended by the FCC. So we'll await how that panel screening goes. Moving on now to Vanguard. Magu gets bail as FG suspends 12 EFCC directors. Obaseki Ezeyamu bicker over protest against APC running mate. Amotekun, recruitment process will be devoid of partisanship. Everybody on NDDC board should be removed, says Sage. Murder of Fahim Saleh, Gokada mourns, suspends their operations. And 704,000 jobs. Senators, reps insist program remains suspended. Okay, which stories are we taking?
I took the human interest. Fahim Saleh, the founder of Gokada. We remember some months back when Lagos State had banned Gokada, he made a very moving video about the plight of the workers. And because of the ban, a lot of his workers had to be let go, and they changed Gokada from, transportation to a delivery outfit. So I think it was yesterday in New York. He lives in Manhattan. His body was found. He had been dismembered. His sister was the one that found him. She hadn't heard from him in a day, and she went to check on him. And from what the reports that we have, a man who was dressed in black, carrying a bag, and also had a black mask on, followed him into his apartment. When they got to the door of his apartment, sort of like a fight ensued. It looked like he was shocked or he was shot, and then obviously taken in. They said this was clearly done by a professional. Really sad. The office in Lagos, I hear they're closed, to mourn his
And they said they're still trying to see if they can find a motive to understand what could have caused the death of this man. Now, I was going to go to the story of the senators insisting that the project of recruiting 704,000 people across the country should be suspended based on their own directive. But the federal government the president said yesterday, had already said that the Minister of State, Keyamo, should go ahead. But they're saying that, listen, we can't have that back and forth between both of us because the truth is that you need both houses to be working together. One of the legal comments on this, I think it was Olisa Gbakuba, was saying that the point where the Senate or National Assembly, their job is to review when the work starts. The work hasn't even started. So let the man do his job first. Let the Minister of State do what he's asked to do. After which, then your job as the supervising arm of the government to ensure that their job is properly done. And then you can then review and question him. Right now, the job hasn't even started. So you have really no standing in saying this is how it should be done, because your job is to review when it's been done. So it's interesting, though, but we'll see what happens, because we don't want a back and forth anyway from both arms of government. So, Amotekun, go ahead.
Yes, so the Ekiti State government yesterday came out to say that the recruitment of security officials into Amotekun or individuals into Amotekun will be thorough, it will be transparent, and it will be non-partisan. And one of the reasons, because they moved the recruitment from physical to online, because they realized that some persons were extorting people based on that, asking them to pay a certain amount of money before they can be recruited. So they've taken it online. And they are also saying that they need the help of the traditional rulers to be able to, recruit.
Okay, we have to run out of time. We have to just take one more story. Daily Trust. Daily Sun. Hammer falls on EFCC, Mago regains freedom. WTO, APC governors hail Buhari for nominating Okonjo-Iweala. Standoff at National Assembly. Clerk, 150 others asked to retire. Abia police declare killer cop wanted, place 500,000 naira bounty on him. Okay, which story? I have two stories there, but which one? Go ahead.
Abia.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, just a short story. So the Abia State Police Command have declared wanted Sergeant Chinatu Onyema, who shot dead 2 persons and is on the run. So they are saying, basically, like the headlines mentioned, that 500,000 bounty will be given to anyone who finds him.
Okay, so our former Minister of Finance and former MD of the World Bank has expressed her interest to be the Director General for the World Trade Organization. So she's running for that, and our presidency have given her the support. And she was talking to Trump and telling him, well, because when Trump was threatening to withdraw from the WTO, she was saying that, listen, don't withdraw yet. Let us see how we can do to fix things up. And obviously, because we know she's going to be the future president of Nigeria, we're also supporting her.
You've endorsed her already.
No, please, that one, forget that one. So, because the moment she picks up that ticket, that is it. I mean,
she slid it in.
So because we know she's our future president, we are also supporting her based on this.
May God grant you
long life.
Health.
We are proud of you. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. We love you. We love you too much. And stand up at National Assembly. Listen, National Assembly, they are always fighting. Let me tell you what happened with this one. So there are people, about 150 people, who are supposed to retire. They've done 35 years, or they're over 60. They're supposed to retire according to the law that is guiding that the civil service. But they are resisting it. So the clerk, I think his name is Omolori, I believe, he's asking his colleagues to stand out. They just go back to work. They should disregard the letter from the National Assembly asking them to begin to that they want to stay. They have to stay. So that back and forth is still ongoing. We don't know why, because one person is being supported. We don't know why, because one person is being supported. One arm is being supported by Lawan. The other is being supported by Gwajabiamila. So one is saying, let's bring in new people. Others saying, no, let's retain those we have. So there are still allegations, but that's what the issue is. But it's not yet clear. Unfortunately, that's all we can take on the front page of the papers. When we come back, aside celebrating Okonjo-Iweala, we'll be discussing other matters. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. The story of a Hollywood power couple, Will and Jada Smith, has been trending on social media. According to the reports, Jada Pinkett Smith had an affair while they were separated with the singer, August. She and her husband had been having an open conversation recently, and now they're back together and we're having the talk about what happened during that period. And our question now is the fact that this new word, entanglement, is in the air. People are looking at it as options. Like, okay, maybe that's an option for us to take a breather from our relationship and then come back. Is that a possible way to resolve marital issues or marital woes? And that's a conversation we'd like to have today. You can call us on 070 80668014. You can also tweet us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag your TVC so we can read your tweets. So we understand very clearly that we obviously uphold the institution of marriage. However, from Jada Pinkett Smith's experience, what are your thoughts? And do you think the fact that she stepped aside during that separation that they had, because they were separated for a while, and it was in that period that she got entangled with this person. Now they're back. Do you think that is something Nigerian women are beginning to consider? Because we're going now. No. I'm talking about. Let me rephrase it properly. Because the conversation out there is that can we use this option to extend? Yes. So let's hear your thoughts on this.
Okay. See, for me, the most interesting part of this conversation is not what had happened, but how Nigerians have been reacting to this. So we have a situation where a woman, a lot of people will say because it was a separation, because they had taken time out to do, to be away from each other. So what happens outside then is not really seen as an affair. They're not looking at it as cheating. But the only part of it for me that may be uncomfortable is that this person that she had this entanglement with is a very close friend of the family, her son's very good friend. And for me, that is very uncomfortable. But I believe that these sort of things happen in marriages. We have people talking about infidelity, we have people taking time apart and doing this. The only difference in this case is that they're having a conversation about it and they're open about it. So people take this, people do these entanglements without the permission of the other partner. So you're doing it side by side so that you don't get caught. But this one is now out in the open. We had a discussion about it. See, for me, I feel that when it comes to marriage, all this entanglement just makes it difficult. There's the open marriage, the sitting down to talk about those things. It makes that marriage difficult. And anyone who can work around it and still make their marriage work, for me, that is a good one on you. But it's better not to get entangled if you're still in a marriage.
Okay, so this is the crux of what I want to also focus on. The fact that two people have been feeling choked, maybe together. They're having issues as a couple for a long time. And then they decide to separate. Now, during separation, what are the terms of engagement? Are you allowed to see other people? Are you allowed to just, are you not allowed to see people? Are you allowed to hang out? What exactly are the terms of engagement? What are the new agreements?
Separated.
I think that it's a conversation that both parties would have to have, because marriage is about two people who decide to come together to spend the rest of their lives, wherever that life ends. So if they're having problems and they have to take time apart, is something that they have to sit down and say, okay, how long do you think we can take to resolve this? Is there hope for us to come back? Is there any hope that we'll likely come back? And while we are separated, is it okay for us to begin to see other people? And then they have that conversation. So, but aside from the conversation, we also need to understand that there's a covenant of marriage. And in that covenant, it's just both of you. So if while you're still married, whether you are separated or not, that covenant still covers you. So anything you do there is out of the covenant of marriage. But when you have that, because people have see life differently. So if it's okay for a partner to say, okay, I can see other people, you go ahead and see other people, then it's fine. It's between them. It's none of our business.
Well, but let me just, most of the time when you get to the point of separation, it's not amicable. You guys are fighting. So who is going to be sitting down with who to ask
Exactly.
that?
But even therapists sometimes will advise you to, see other people. Let's see if you're really still compatible. Find out if other people thrill you, or, just move on, live your life. So, I'm telling you that some therapists tell you to just separate. You're not divorced. Separate and just move on with your life. Give it time. And sometimes you find out that when you go out there, you then realize that, there's nothing out there, you come right back. And it seems to have helped Jada because they are back together.
Yeah, so for the question you asked me, not everyone fights. And like she rightly said, during years, it was an amicable separation. And that was why when August was talking, he said he gave his blessing. So he mistook the fact that they weren't fighting, it was amicable. Probably he would have come into the house how many times and seen him and didn't say anything. He assumed it was a blessing. You understand? So for me, the covenant of marriage is deep. there are a lot of people who go through cheating, both the male side, the female side, and then they decide to come together and resolve it and work through it and move on with their lives. So it's not what we sit back and start defining how they should handle their marriage. We need to be very careful in defining how people should handle their marriage. As long as both of them are okay, like we see that they are, and they were shaking hands and it's fine and all of that, we just let it be.
But what I would like us to also discuss are the reactions Nigerians are having, because one of the reactions they're saying is that these entanglements happen. It's just that we didn't give it a name. People separate, or people, or maybe your husband is living in London, you are in Nigeria, or you're in London, he's here. You know, you're not officially separated, but it seems like he has a life in Lagos, and he's hanging out with the Lagos girls, and you are there in the UK.
I think we have something for that, married but living single.
Yeah. You know, those kind of things. So you're not really officially separated, but doing that separation, or that, you know, everybody seems to be doing their own thing. And some people say, you know what, maybe I should stay away. Others say, you know what, I think I'd rather come back with my spouse. You know,
I have an example.
The question is, do marriages need these breathers sometimes to make them stronger? That's the question I'd like us to discuss when we come back. Stay with us, don't go anywhere.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. So going back to the issue of that breather, the reason why I asked that is because we find that in a lot of marriages, when men step out, they go and they'll advise the woman, don't worry, he'll come back, let him go.
Be waiting.
You know, don't worry. He's just cheating. Don't worry, let him go. He will always come back home. Now, when that happens, it's because he has had his breather. Gone out to test the waters and say, it's not happening. Let me come back to my loyal wife. So we're now flipping the script. In a situation whereby a couple are feeling like, you know what, I'm done with this. Can both parties take that breather, and the woman too is allowed to take that extra breather? But you know what, go and date. And then if we now feel that, I have explored.
As a woman.
It's not happening. Let us now come back together. Because it is happening.
Yes.
It is happening without it being defined.
Yes,
That's what
it's happening
in our own society.
Yes.
Because our society is patriarchal and our society is hypocritical. I say it without any sense of anything. You know,
apology.
It cannot happen well spelt out, like you have said. So things can be happening on the ground, but you must not be caught. That's the society. They send a person where they catch, na him be thief. Everybody can be stealing, but the person who has been caught is the one that they pronounce, I have stolen for everybody and all of that. So I believe that if it gets to a situation in your marriage where you're feeling choked, you can take some time out. But the society that we live in does not permit you, especially as a woman, to take that time out. The next thing you hear is that she wants to start going into prostitution. There's a man that is following her up and down. She wants to do this. She wants to live freely like all those single girls. And that's the next thing you start hearing. So except we start changing our mindsets to accommodate the fact that it's okay to need space sometimes. It's okay to take a break from something and reevaluate it and see if it's going to work.
But you can take
come back.
You can take a break without cheating on your spouse.
Yes, you can. It depends on you. But the men, when they take those breaks, do they not?
Yes, no.
You see what we're saying?
Miriam.
Okay, so for me, I would not, I think it's better to, if you do that entanglement or taking a break or taking the breather, I think it's better if you can come back and say, it was a mistake, than to say, I took a deliberate step to be entangled with someone else. Because then the question is, how do you come back from, so what are we talking about now? And how many times a year are you going to be taking this entanglement? Or how many times in 10 years are we going to be doing this? So for me, it's easier for me to swallow if it was, you know, I was caught up with so many things. I didn't think it through and it happened. I can have a conversation based on that. But if you're going to make it deliberate, then I have to sit down with you knowing, and then let's say we just met and you give me this option and I say, you know, for me, every 5 years, I'm going to be doing some entanglement. Exactly, we will not be able to have a conversation.
Will say that.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying if we now decide to make that a conversation when it comes to marriage, then you know how it starts small. Before you know it becomes a thing.
Yeah.
So
One of the
highlights is that
what Jada did, what happens in Nigeria every single time. But on the flip side, because the women allow their husbands. They know, in fact, they even know the girl that is still, wait, that's his girlfriend. Go ahead.
Come back.
So you have given your husband permission to be entangled.
No, you know what, Mariah? It could be that we see the men's own, but women don't really talk about the women's side, or it does not come out. Someone said that when a man cheats on a woman, she's in the market square. He has cheated on me. God help me. But when the woman cheats on the man keeps quiet.
It, yeah.
And then you handle it in the home. And the truth is that there's many marriages where the wife has stepped out and they're living their lives. They've struggled to get back to where they are, but they've done it just between the two of them. But when the man, because the thing is also it's easier to accept. How the society accepts it when a man steps out, and everybody can come and pet you and make you feel better about yourself, and then you can make him feel bad for a period. But a man is seen as weak if he forgives a woman for entanglement.
Society.
A man who truly loves his wife, who has seen his wife that, yes, she has actually struggled and she's made a mistake, and I want to be like, what did she give you to eat? There are so many fishes in the sea. It's so hard it's so hard for other men, especially, I think. No, not just other men. I think even women, to see that a man is willing to take back a woman who has stepped out. So that I would like to see. I'm so happy you took us there, because that was where we're going to end this conversation, where there are some women who have stepped out, and not because they hate their husbands or not because they are bad people, but circumstances of life happened. And those kind of women right now don't have the kind of boldness that Jada Pinkett would have to say, I did this, But in the situation whereby that stepping out has helped them to discover that, you know what, I have everything I need in this marriage. It was a mistake, I want to come back. Does society allow them to come back conveniently? That's the question. So do we forgive a woman who has been entangled? Is what we want to discuss and focus on.
We don't forgive a woman who does that, because we have, so to speak, allowed a man's world where it's okay. After all, a man can marry 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's okay. But for a woman, you cannot marry 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You must be the one that will be married. You are not the one paying the bride price or the groom price. You are the one that is purchased, so to speak. So that is not allowed at all. If it happens and you are caught, that's most times the end of the marriage. Except, like she said, where some people just quietly work on it and they don't tell the other partner, they don't tell the other family members that something like this has happened. But I wanted to quickly, are we going on break?
No, go ahead.
Yes, touch on when you said, do we have conversations on, do we take a breather after 5 years or 10 years? Now, what I'm realizing in marriage is a lot of people get into marriage with this false pretense. They are not honest in exactly how they feel. So they want to get into that marriage and pretend to be who they are not. At the end of the day, you realize that your values and your spouse's values do not align. And because you did not present it at the beginning, whatever you do in secret. You cannot come out and say, it's okay. Meanwhile, in your mind, it's okay for me to have a breeder 5 years or 10 years, but why will I tell my husband that? He won't even marry me in the first place. So we're not, and one thing Jada and Will is doing is bringing the conversation outside. Those kind of conversations we have in our minds, we have in the closet, they brought it in the deep, exactly, they brought it outside. And the world is seeing it as strange. Are you people okay? And most of those people shouting are doing exactly the same thing, but because they cannot have it, exactly.
Let me take this call from Bryce. Bryce, are you there?
Hello, good morning.
Thanks for calling. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I'm Bryce. I'm calling from Ikeja.
Go ahead, please. You're live.
Happy belated birthday.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, actually, I've been watching your program for a long time now, and I'm happy. I'm a first-time caller. So, like the issue of today, marriage is about what you make out of it. Before a man decides to marry, a woman decides to marry, you have chosen the person you want to marry as the best for you. There are many men, many women in the world, but when you are choosing a man or a woman as your best. So in this case, what you have seen from the beginning, you also like to maintain it to the end, depending on the mindset. So in some cases, it's people from the outside that determine some people's marriage. But when a man knows the quality of the woman she has or the quality of the woman you have, no matter what the outsiders say, you maintain your stance as per your marriage. Are you with me?
Very
Yes,
well.
yes.
Yeah. For instance, I've been outside Nigeria in Africa, here, Equatorial Guinea, for instance. You see that in most cases, a man and woman will separate. A woman in Equatorial Guinea can marry up to 5 husbands.
Really?
But from time to time, she will be going, even in most cases, they will separate, they still become boyfriend and girlfriend, meeting together, sleeping together.
Wow.
So there is people with their own choice and with their own variety.
So I guess it's also a cultural question based on where you are. But see, I also feel that this whole entanglement thing is a bit selfish on the part of both parties. Let me tell you what, because in our own context as an African, we consider other factors, family, children, before you start thinking of our own side. Because from Jada's conversation, it's about how I feel. I was feeling choked. I felt broken. I wanted to be happy. It's all about me, myself, and I. That's the American culture where it's all about you. But what the African context doesn't try to always elevate you. It says you are because we are. That's we support you. So I am not just a mother. I'm not just a wife. I'm not just a girlfriend. I am somebody's sister. I am somebody's. So it's that factor that makes it different for a Nigerian woman or African woman to get entangled, because you now begin to consider the consequences of that action. The patriarchal society, I mean the men on the other hand, they don't necessarily always think of that aspect that we think about. We think first of our children on the factors that would be a consequence of that action. But they go out and get entangled. But we don't do it. So it's not because we don't want to, but we see that there are other factors that will make us stay put.
Is that not an imbalance? Because why I'm saying it's an imbalance is not because we want to do the things that the men are doing, but we want to be in a position where we can also have a choice as women. We also are human beings. We also have feelings. So if you're married to somebody who cares just about himself, who wants to always support who wants to always, take whatever he wants. You are in that space with that very selfish human being, and you are not selfish. Most times you are at the receiving end. But if it's in such a way that you know as a man that what you're doing, I can do it, don't you think that would be, that would make it very difficult for men to boldly do whatever they are doing and be proud about it and say, I am the man. So when they know that the women have the ability to do the same thing, don't you think that will reset their mind? Because it seems very imbalanced that the man can go out there and do whatever he wants and comes back to me when I'm just there.
This call, Nima, Akasha Zibiri.
Yeah, you know what? I knew.
Mary said she knew you would call.
Come and beat us.
Say your own.
About the sanctity of marriage is here. Every marriage has issues. What she did is totally uncalled for, and we should be careful not to set a trend that will start in the world. That's why we are where we are. May we not get entangled. When you are having issues in your marriage, you take care of those issues. You don't step out of your marriage and abuse your marriage vow and come back and it is normal. Yes, she's made a mistake. That is for with me to accept. But for us discussing it as Africans, we must continue to uphold values that have made that used to make our society the best.
Niman, can I ask you a question?
Ask me.
When the men go out and get entangled for free, and we women are made to accept it,
answer you.
Please answer me.
Don't
answer me in Yoruba.
When the man takes 2, 3, he did not do anything. When the woman does it, it's called prostitution. Because women are the ones who oppose the values and the home.
Why?
Who defined that?
You are the receiver. You are the one that works with the door. A man is entering. You cannot continue to say because your marriage vows or your marriage is suffering, open to everybody in the name of entanglement.
Who made that law, Nima?
We must be careful the sort of empathy we put out there for the wrong values. That's my own point.
Right. Stay with us. Don't go anywhere.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. So we're still talking about this issue of entanglement. And I must continually remind our Nigerians that we are obviously upholding moral values on this show. We're not in any way speaking against what we know. What we're trying to do is raise issues, have a conversation, seeing how things can be seen differently. And if we choose not to look at it differently, that's fine. But we must express our views and let Nigerians express their views on this. I'd like to take some tweets, but first, let me hear your thoughts.
So, you know, a lot of times people say there's some things you should just have, the conversations you should have in the secrets of your home. And I personally agree that some things should be kept a secret. But what social media has done for us is that there are some conversations that when it comes out, it's easier to have a better understanding. So this particular issue, for me, I'm very intrigued by the response of men towards what Jada did. And I am saying, and some of their reactions is that what she did was wrong. Two, Will shouldn't have forgiven her. And, you know, how can they ever come back together and have a real marriage? And, you know, sometimes when it's the other way around and women talk about their pain when their men go and go on those entanglement sprees, we say to them, you know, that is how they are. Yes. You are too jealous. You are too suspicious, you know, those sort of things. Or some people will say, oh, don't, or, you know, we've had the conversations where people say, if a man cheats on you, don't forgive him. So this is opening our eyes now to saying that maybe cheating can be forgiven on both sides. So when you say to a woman, oh, if a man cheats on you, that's it. But a man has forgiven a woman. So now you can see maybe why women are forgiving their husbands when it happens. That's one. Two, is that it hurts. It should hurt. Now that you have seen a man go through it, you feel the anger, you feel the pain. So imagine that that is what that woman is going through. Because sometimes when you're not in someone's shoes, you don't get it. Exactly. So now you get it. A lot of people were looking at that video and said, look at his face, he looked sad. That is how usually, when it's the other way around, the woman feels it. And so for me, what it will mean is that men are sitting back in their homes now and thinking, oh, this hurts, and maybe I should rethink my steps.
I mean, somebody in the studio was saying that the reason why men do it because they are not emotional.
Yes.
The women are more emotional. So when they cheat, they can do it bam bam and they're out. Women are very emotional. You know, they begin to fall in love.
That's a lie.
And that's not that. But it's important that we correct that narrative because I know people. I mean, I've heard of people. I don't know them directly, but I know people who stepped out. Maybe they went on a vacation. I know of a family that went to Spain. I think the husband were all there together, and she did a back with and that is it. And she was telling her friends, you know, she came back with like, because she wanted to just try something different. Now, it doesn't make it right. It's wrong because she stepped out. But it's important for men to understand that women can do it.
Yes.
Because we choose not to.
It's a choice.
It's a choice. Because we choose not to doesn't mean that we don't have the capacity to do it. So respect that women who don't do it are doing it because they have that high moral
chosen commitment to their marriage. So I wanted to also reiterate that when I say certain things, it's not because I'm trying to go the other way or because I'm trying to support what is bad. It's because I understand that the mind of man is opening up, and conversations that used to be hush hush are now had in the open. And we should allow for different perspectives. Maybe that would change the situation for us. So if the men understand that two can play that game, it could change them. They may be able to see that, oh, so if I have the ability to go out, she has the ability to go out. No, I don't think I want her because they're actually very jealous. I don't think I want another man to touch her. Let me kuku stay. It could be that will happen. But if you give that man that blank check that it's okay, you are the man to go out and come back, we will still be having the same conversations our mothers had, our great-grandmothers had. And when you say that it's the woman that upholds the home, who made that law? Who is the head of the home? It's for two people. We need to start putting that in the minds of our children as well. Yeah, both of you work together to uphold the home. Don't leave it on the woman and feel, I can do anything as a man. It's okay. She's a woman. She would accept it.
Let me take this call from Eluka. Eluka, are you there? Oh, sorry. There's an issue on the feminism part. And I don't like it when we talk about these kind of gender stuff and people then bring in the issue of feminism. So feminism, for me, is different, and maybe people have, and I can understand where Nima is coming from because there are different definitions of feminism. So if somebody feels that, oh, feminism is one saying that, oh, women can do this, we can do this. What I hear feminists say is that give us an equal playing field in every part of society, in every strata of society. Now, many also believe that in the home, whether you like it or not, somebody has to be in charge. Somebody has to be the final final say, because the truth that both of you cannot keep arguing or something. Somebody's decision must supersede. And that's where the man is the head, is in charge. Now, biblically, it is supported. Morally, it is supported. Ethically, I mean, there are different ways you can look at it. So many people agree with that. So in the home, we're not saying that it's all, in my own, this is my own personal view. In the home, I'm not saying it's 50-50. I'm saying, yes, I submit to you because you are the head in my
leadership.
house. But outside, then between myself and any other colleague, we are equal and we should be treated equally as a man and a woman. That is the feminist campaign, based on my understanding. So when we hear of issues like this, and bringing feminism, I think we're doing disservice to the real context of what feminism means.
Yeah.
And I agree with you.
Okay, I would just also want to say that, you know, we're raising children, and I have a son and a daughter. So when we have conversations where we say it's the man that is a woman that upholds morals, it's the woman that, you know, keeps the home. A man can make these mistakes. And then tomorrow, when these men grow up and start behaving like men, women are tearing their shirts. Why are men so like this? Auntie, you started it today.
You're raising them like that.
When you're raising your child, when he's listening to you and hearing you say the woman can take anything, but the man cannot, or the woman should hold herself and respect the marriage, but the man can disrespect it, you're already raising a man who would one day become that sort of disrespect. So we need to be careful with the message that we're not only talking to men outside, we're also talking to our sons at home.
Let's talk to Bobby while we're taking the tweets. Good morning, Bobby. Are you there?
Yes, I am. Good morning.
Thanks for calling. Go ahead, please.
Happy belated birthday.
Thank you. It was Mariam and I. It was not just me. Please,
No problem.
I completely agree with Nima.
Okay.
And you see, you must be very, very careful about sending or establishing trends. Our cultural values we must be able to uphold. And please, I beg you in God's name, this program is fast becoming feminist. Let the Americans be, let Africans be. Good morning.
Thank you very much. Okay, he's started his views. Please go ahead.
Okay, so I have tweets. Mr. Adeboye says, some laws are naturally bestowed on us. When men commit any entanglement, it may not be as pronounced as when a lady does it. A lady can get pregnant, and what happens then? How do you cope with your wife pregnant for another man in the name of entanglement? So, as we say, Olga, the way you cannot cope with it is the way she can't cope with it if you get another woman pregnant. It's the same feeling. Johnny says, okay, everything about this is unfortunate and wrong. These are celebrities, but they are bad example to their children and the world at large.
Bilkis Mafe says, I agree that toxic masculinity and patriarchy makes it easy to overlook infidelity on the man's part. It doesn't make it right for a woman either. Let them stay married or go their separate ways. We don't need to flip the coin. Two wrongs doesn't make it right. Gumola Emmanuel says, when you separate on the premise to work on your marriage, please, how is seeing another person a way of strengthening back your home? What happened to therapy and seeing shrinks? Americans are just complicated in the head. Jada is just wrong on every level with the entanglement.
Ferdy says, having an affair during separation is the same as adultery because the couple is still bonded or something.
Okay, I think we would like to wrap up with that. So, as we all said earlier, we all agree that it is wrong for you to step out in any marriage at all. We're just trying to have a conversation around these new terms that are going around and see how we don't want to be hypocritical because we know it happens in our society, and trying to let's give it a name and let's be sure that both parties are respected regardless of what happens. And we still uphold the sanctity of the home, and we trust and we believe that everybody who is in marriage should adhere to that principle, those things that we agree with, the covenant of that marriage, and ensure that if there are issues, you can separate, define the terms of separation. What are we allowed to do? What are we not allowed? According to your holy book that you adhere to. If your holy book allows you to go step aside, please go ahead. If it doesn't, please adhere to it. Let's go on a break. We'll still be talking on the issue of marriage, but this time around, in a different angle. Stay with us.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Okay, so moving on to another topic that also caught our attention. Recently, Pastor Adeboye, the General Overseer of the RCCG, paid a tribute to his wife on her birthday According to him, the husband is the head of the wife. No matter how educated or successful that you are, your husband is your head. And you must always regard him as such. It's a terrible thing for the husband to feel that his wife is his head, misbehaving in the marriage because they want to establish that they are in charge. Now, you can join the conversation because obviously this statement, Nigerians now, before you know it, they're already tweeting, saying everything. But let's hear your thoughts because just in relation to our previous topic, because I said it's related, we do insist on upholding that sanctity of marriage. But how do you define sanctity? Is it by the Holy Book? Is it by your own terms? Is it what you as a couple have said, you know what, this is what we are going to accept? You know, because the GO of RCCG has told us what he does in his own house. He is clearly the head. And there was some point he said that she would answer him, yes, sir. That is in his own house.
That's how they play
But
their love.
today, Nigerians are saying, how can you be telling your wife to be answering yes, sir to you? So, listen, this thing called marriage is based on your own definition, how you run your home. That's pretty much the bottom line. But let me hear your thoughts. When you heard his comments, what came to mind?
Auntie, start.
Okay. So for me, I would say I wasn't surprised. That's a marriage of 57 years. They've been together for a very long time. And, they hold the tenets of the Bible very dearly since they are in the forefront. They are preachers and men of God and all of that. And he understands. He may not use the words that the modern man would use, but he understands the place of love and submission, like the Bible talked about. And why do I want to say love? Because a lot of people put him under fire, saying that how can you order her around, tell her she must follow you to wherever she's going to, and she'll drop everything she's doing and all of that. That's slavery, that's this and that. And this was a man a few weeks ago who said, if you insult me, I don't have any problem, but if you insult my wife, that's a man who has shown that he loves his wife dearly. Okay. And when you love like Christ commanded, and you can give your life for your wife like Christ gave his life for the church, your woman should submit. That's just will submit naturally. And the lady hasn't come out. Pastor Adeboye hasn't told us that she's been suffering in the marriage, or that she's tired of cutting his nails, or tired of serving him food. She has been doing it happily. They have no issues. So if the man comes out to say, okay, this is how it works in my home, and looking at the Bible, this is how it should be, it's worked for him. Let's not take that away from him. His marriage has been successful for a very long time. And we, the young ones, should look up to, are you sure? Are you not sure it's what he's doing or what they are doing that is even making this marriage last this long? So let's take the good parts from what we have seen.
How do you define the bad parts?
Okay, so for me, I mostly agree with you. But I think some of the conversations that came out from his message on the day is, first of all, he talked about how she serves him. It was her birthday. On the occasion of her birthday, on the occasion that you should celebrate her. I mean, Mr. Brown sang a song for Mariah, I Found Joy. Imagine if he sang the song of, Mariah found me on Mariah's birthday. He now thinking of all the things that Mariah is enjoying from him. It's like, maybe it was not the right time to talk about all the things that she does for you, Celebrate her. These are the things that I do for my wife. So so for me, immediately that's what I thought. You see people when they are talking about their wedding anniversaries, when they are hailing their wives, they say, this woman has taken all the bad things from me. I'm like, why are you celebrating her on all the bad things she took from you? How about the good things that you also brought to the marriage? So I find that's the conversation I worry about with men. Celebrate the woman that she is and what she does for you. A woman should do that when the time comes. But that aside, so we're talking of the longevity of their marriage. And, I will not take it from them. They seem to have a very good marriage. But another conversation that's come out is, does longevity mean success? Because we've had many marriages where people have been there many years. And when they finally open their mouths to tell you what they have endured. So they didn't enjoy it, they endured it. So when people are speaking, it's not because they just want to hate on him. We're just trying to have conversation. As we say, let's have these conversations, let's open minds, let's question things, you know. So the longevity, yes, good on you, and they seem happy. But we know in many marriages that longevity does not exactly equal success. And so when they make it, so that's a part of, you know, feminists have come again. And the feminist is not saying in this case that do not have a long-lasting marriage, do not serve each other. But it's saying that in serving, remember, you can do it for each other. You also mentioned something about some people use the Bible as their foundation for their marriage. What are the things that you use, ethics, morals? In my home, I want to believe that we use kindness. I always say this, respect for each other, kindness, decency. So how would whatever decision I would like to take in my home, I hope that I take it based on, am I being kind to my partner? Does it show that I'm respecting my partner? You know, how would it make him feel? Or and then he would think, even though, you know, some people like, he's the head. But for me, in being the head, it does not mean that I stamp on you and your rights because I need to prove myself. It means that I understand you, I feel you, I care for you, and I'm considerate of your feelings as well. So
two things I want to quickly harp on. When you talked about longevity not being success, and I want to ask you, who defines the success of my marriage? Because we all have our different definitions depending on what we are out to build together. Marriage is about two people who come together to say, this is the goal that we have. We're going to build this new family. We're going to build this new channel together. And these are the rules that guide us. So what society has done over time is to give us definitions, copy and paste definitions of how marriages should be. So this is how generally it should be successful. If it's not going this way, that means it's not successful. But people are beginning to see that it's between me and you, and we define our success. So to the fact that she has not come out for once to say that she's suffering, I want to term that her marriage is successful. There was also another point that he mentioned where she serves him and all of that. And I sit back as a relationship expert and I get people coming to tell me that even this man, I don't even have time to spend with him. He's always out there looking for money. I don't cook for him. He just comes, he drops the money and he runs away. And now we see someone who still has the time to eat this woman's food after how many years? He hasn't chosen to eat another person's food. He hasn't chosen another person to serve him. He still prefers this particular woman for how many years? Well, I don't want to cut his nails. No, it just tells me that they are still very, very close. And we should not take it away from that.
Okay,
now,
wait, let me pause. The only reason, one of the reasons I wanted to have the conversation is that to remind Nigerians that you've seen somebody's model, but it doesn't have to be your model.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, you're right.
To define your own model.
Yeah.
So it's not so much about, oh, you cook for me or I eat your food. There's some homes that
they don't care.
Cook.
Yeah.
Eat what you see, and we're okay. That's the formula in your own house. Yes. They're different. So, and again, some people are not into my success is based on how he makes me feel. Some people's success is the fact that I have successful children.
Yeah.
That's all. I'm in this marriage because I want children who, in future, I can be happy to see them grow. Maybe the man's his behavior towards me is not my goal in this marriage. Maybe I'm there because I want to have successful children. And for you, that is success. So you're in that marriage for 40 years, 50 years, because you have these amazing children who make you proud. That is success for you. So what we should be taking from Adeboye's conversation is that everybody, he has defined his own.
I understand.
And you have seen. You define
your
yours
own and follow it.
I understand you, but you know, every time we have conversations like this, I would like to think of my children. And when we say, if the marriage was about just how her children turn out, I just would like to ask you, Mariah, what would you want your daughter to see in a marriage? What would you want her to want in a marriage? Should it be just based on how her children end up or how she is with her husband in the marriage?
It depends. As I said, it's all, I've seen families.
You know, sometimes it's easier when we sort of say it at each other. But when we now talk about our children, I understand when women will eventually say, okay, I didn't have a good marriage, but thank God my children turned out right. There's a difference. That's the thing. You know, in Africa especially, we say this to especially the older generation. It's like a compensation for what you've gone through.
No, but if you...
Sorry. It's a compensation for what you've gone through. And when we do that, we excuse the men for bad behavior. So you're in a relationship and the woman was not happy for many years and she has compensated herself with what the children have become. But that does not take away the fact that you were not good towards her. As a husband, you were not, you didn't consider her feelings.
But in a polygamous marriage,
so there are people who have, sorry, let me just end it. There are people who have these successful children and had a marriage where they are both respectful of each other. They are both kind to each other. By and large, it was a good marriage. So why did they also have successful children? What was their own?
From Shola. Shola, are you there?
Hello, good morning, Mariah.
Thanks for calling. Go ahead, please.
I want to talk about the issue of freedom, liberalism in marriage.
Yes, please go ahead.
I think there should be a clear cut between what they call liberalism and what people's beliefs and values. Because now everybody is saying in marriage, the woman is free to do.
Woman is free to do what?
Shola, you lost that.
Okay. Yes, so I wanted to quickly say that I'm going to go back again to the fact that I understand that because when you see, I've seen elderly women who look back and say, I really suffered in this marriage. I really suffered in this marriage. I don't want this for my daughter. I don't want this for my son. And you see them, they put their foot down. They want to even impose on who you bring home because they are just looking for those red flags to say, this one will suffer you like your father suffered me. And most of the time, the children are not even aware of the suffering the mother goes through. She keeps it silently. She sucks it in just to give that facade that everything is okay. And then the children grow up not understanding what their mothers have gone through. I understand that bit. And it's also depending on what that woman wants out of that marriage. Some people will be in that situation and walk out of the marriage, while others will say, because of my children, I want to stay in that marriage. So it still depends on them. But there was something that I heard, which, why I wanted to point on the serving. When we see, do you want your daughter to be the one that will be serving the husband and kneeling down till they finish their food and all of that? You need to understand that when it comes to how people show their love is different. Not everybody is evolving at the same level. For some people, your husband went to the studio and sang a beautiful song for you. Another person will show love by taking you out for shopping. Another person will show love in, we have different ways that we show that love. But there was something I wanted to talk about, which is that Eve, when God created man and created Adam, Eve was taken out of his side. Yeah. He wasn't taken out of his head for him to lord over her. He wasn't taken out of his feet for him to trample on her. She was taken out of his side so that he can protect, love, and nurture her near his heart.
Deaconess is in the house. Michael, are you there for my call? Oh, I lost that call.
You guys are not nice.
Deaconess in the house.
I'm going to wrap up very soon because
I didn't land my point.
You land your point.
Yes. So equality, how people see equality differs, and that's what we shouldn't just say because this is how this person does it. The person does not love this person. No. You need to ask that person, how do you feel when they do this? I've seen people that their husbands talk to anyhow, and I feel, why will you take it? And the person like, he was joking. That's how he is.
Yeah.
I didn't see anything wrong in that. So if I had gone into the marriage to say, no, what you're doing is wrong, I would just be imposing my own beliefs on that marriage. So people show their love and equality differently. We need to just accept that.
So we're going to wrap up very soon, but it's important that we put everything in proper perspective because we talked about the Jada issue, and now we're talking about defining your marriage, what makes a happy marriage. Interestingly, I know a few people who, I know somebody that was in a polygamous marriage all her life, and she wasn't there because she was in love with the person. In fact, she was there because I think she was the fourth or so wife. She went there because her family was poor, they needed support, the man married her, she had amazing children, and the man gave her money. Her kids are grown up now, and she's happy.
Good for her.
She had never really, for her in her life, it wasn't about that emotional connection to the man. It was just a man that come and help me to have somewhere to keep my head, and I have my children. So everybody define who you are. Let's not use people's scripts for our own lives. Okay. But when we hear people talk about their success stories, let's learn from it. The ones you know that is yours, take it. The one that you know you cannot accept, define yours. Then going back to the Jada Pinkett matter, we're not in any way saying that
what they did was right. We're not
see, because it's important to put in proper perspective. They were both married. They separated. During separation, she did an away match. When she did an away match, the man now heard about it, and they had the conversation, heard about the away match, and he forgave her, and they're back together. So the question was, in our own society, our men always have away matches almost consistently. We're now saying that, using their own example, if in a Nigerian context, a woman has an away match, would we ever accept her back? And would we allow and understand, would society understand that this was an away match and we're back together? And what we have resolved is that is an individual family decision. Society shouldn't determine that for us.
Yes.
You as a family should determine, okay, my wife did an away match, this happened. Well, no, it doesn't make it right, it just means that you decide what you want. And then let society define what they want in their own part. That's, I think, what's one way to get from both conversations.
Yes, we got it.
On that note,
We hope you got it.
and we hope we have a few
More tweets.
before we run out.
Okay. Nothing on our new. Yes.
No. Oh, I have one here. It says,
Andrew hasn't said anything.
what the caller said is the exact reason why Nigerian women, I don't want to call the caller. Nigerian women are being treated badly by men. Very wrong mentality. But men need to understand that the same way they feel bad when their wives do it, that's why how women feel too when they do it.
Andrew in Stratham said, is it because I disagree with Morayo on Entanglement that Miriam and BC did not read out my tweets? You wouldn't see it.
So sorry. All right. That's all we can take on the show. Have a fabulous day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.